What is going on, H2O Army? This is Rob with H2O Plants and Flip Aquatics. Today, we're bringing you another video. We're actually talking about our snail rack here at our H2O Flip Aquatics compound, and we're gonna talk about different things that these snails can do to benefit your plant and tank. Most importantly, we're gonna be talking about our two most popular snails for your plant and aquarium. Let's get ready. Now, when talking about snails, we wanna focus in on the most beneficial factor, which is keeping your planted aquarium looking spotless. Now, we want to focus in on algae, but we don't want to risk our plants. So we're going to talk about the two most popular snails that I feel like would be the best option for your planted aquarium, and that is mystery snails and nereid snails. Now, a lot of people say these eat plants, they eat this, they eat that. Let me just say that I have never experienced a nereid snail or a mystery snail eating live plants. Now, if a plant leaf is dying, that's another story. If it's decaying, that's another story. But they are mainly focused in on algae and decaying plant matter. Now, mystery snails are extremely good at eating dying leaves, where nereid snails are more for surface algae and things like that. But we'll go through all this in the video, but we are talking today about mystery snails and nereid snails. Now, the first question that you want to ask yourself is, what size tank are you setting up? Now, if you're setting up 5 gallons or less, I want to encourage you to stay near the nereid side of the spectrum, because mystery snails tend to get a little bit larger, they produce a lot more waste, and so in a small tank they can make a big impact. We use them a lot for cycling aquariums because they are so hardy, and we'll talk about hardiness later on in the video. But definitely, if you're looking at a small tank, nereid snails are probably your better option because they stay so small. Now, mystery snails do get bigger, produce a little bit more waste, so in a small tank they may not be as good. So if you're thinking of using a tank of 5 gallons or more, then nereid snails and mystery snails are still an option. Now, let's start with the most important topic. Which snail is going to eat algae and eat it better? Now, hands down, the one that's going to win this every single time is going to be the nereid snail. And here's the reason why. When you compare nereid snails and mystery snails as far as their ability to eat algae, they're very similar. But mystery snails are going to eat whatever you put in the tank. So if you're feeding pretty much anything, kelp wafers, algae wafers, flake food, whatever it is, your mystery snails are most likely going to eat that, and they could become full and not eat algae in your aquarium. Nereid snails, a little bit more picky, and so they're going to focus more in on that algae, which over time they're going to do a lot more work if you're feeding other foods to your aquarium. These are actually our ivory mystery snails, which are, again, a really beautiful snail. These ones actually have algae on their shell, and you can see this is an aquarium that has that really hard algae that nereid snails would eat, but these guys just don't eat that really hard stuff. So if you have something that is really stuck to the glass, really tough to get off your plants, nereid snails would be the better option. The next topic I want to talk about is hardiness. So this is very important for beginners, for experienced hobbyists, all of us alike. The easier to keep between mystery snails and nereid snails is always going to be mystery snails. Mystery snails are just a lot more adapt to the environments of aquariums. They're much easier to keep. They're very hardy, where nereid snails can sometimes ship bad. They don't always do good. If your pH is a little bit too low, they might not like that because they're used to, that brackish water, that salt water, the really hard stuff. And so you put them into a normal aquarium environment, they may not do as good as, say, mystery snails would. So if you're going for which one is easier, mystery snails wins all day long. Here is a very important factor, breeding. A lot of people that get snails may not want snails in their aquarium, at least not very many. They don't want them to overpopulate. We all know mystery snails, we all know pond snails, pet snails, ram's horn snails, they multiply like crazy. You get one, you have hundreds. So mystery snails and nereid snails aren't that way, which is really good. They both lay eggs, but nereid snails actually can't hatch their eggs in fresh water, whereas mystery snails can, but they lay in huge clutches above the water, which are easily removable. So if you're looking to actually be able to breed snails, then I would go with mystery snails because you can breed them, but it is easy to remove the eggs. If you don't want to breed and you want no chance of any babies hatching, nereid snails are your way to go. The only downside with nereid snails is they do lay eggs all over the aquarium from time to time. We've noticed that if you keep them in large enough numbers, they're happy, they're not going to breed. They usually breed when tank conditions go south. They feel like their life's in jeopardy, they need to lay those eggs, And that's when we see the most little eggs, and they're little white eggs. They get all over the place. Not good. So if you don't want those eggs in your aquarium, one, keep a healthy tank, and two, don't get nearite snails. Now, everyone that is worried or questioning getting these snails and actually breeding them, mystery snails are super prolific, especially if you take care of them correctly. In the future, we'll have to do a video on how we hatch these guys out. But this is our ivory mystery snail hatch out tank. And there are literally hundreds upon hundreds of baby mystery snails. So if you're looking to breed them, it's definitely easy to do. Start with a high quality food and good adults, and you'll get a breeding colony before you know it. And if you don't want to breed them, simply remove the clutches and you'll never have. We did talk about this earlier, but I want to make it a point to bring it up that nearite snails and mystery snails will not eat healthy live plants, at least in our experience. I've never seen it, I've never experienced it. I've talked to many hobbyists, including one that you may know, Jason from Primetime Aquatics, and we have never experienced nearite snails or mystery snails eating healthy live plants. Now, they will eat algae off the plant. If a plant leaf is dying, there's a high probability they're gonna munch at that. But as far as eating healthy plant growth, it's not gonna happen. Another thing that I wanna touch on for all snails is that snails do crawl out of tanks. So the big thing right now is rimless tanks, tanks that don't have a lid. They look really nice. Nearite snails are notorious for crawling out. All of our tanks around here with nearite snails, we have to make sure there's no cracks, no crevices, no way for them to get out. Now, we do sell a product, it's called, I'll have to link it down below because I don't remember off the top of my head, but it's actually a product that you put around the lip of the aquarium and it prevents the snails from wanting to get out. Whether it's the odor, I don't really know 100% how it works. All I know is it does work and we've tested it, it works great. And so that's another option, but the easiest option is cover your aquarium, put a lid on it, set something on top of it, because nearite snails will crawl out, super notorious for it. Mystery snails definitely can't crawl out. They don't do it as often. Usually they only do it when they're trying to lay eggs, and usually they'll just crawl up to maybe the top inch of the aquarium where hopefully there's no water. You can see all of our tanks around here are run by Matten filters, and we have them as a water change through auto top off, kind of. I'm not explaining this very good, but our water flows in and then it flows out. So a flow through system, that is the word I was looking for. So all of our tanks are on a flow through system. So we actually keep the water probably like an inch, inch and a half from the top, which may not be ideal for you at home. And if that's not ideal for you at home, then mystery snails will have a tendency to crawl out. But in our tanks, they just want that dry area to lay their eggs and they're good to go. So rarely do we have mystery snails crawl out. Nearite snails, we find them on the bottom of the rack, we find them on the floor. Luckily, if you do find a mystery snail, nearite snail on the floor, on the rack, outside the tank, as long as it's within the first 48 hours, you can throw it back in the aquarium. Usually it's gonna do just. So as I was shooting this video, I noticed this nearite snail actually crawling down our rack. And so this just proves to you how often these guys can get out, and they are notorious for it. So this guy is actually just tracking along outside of the aquarium, down the rack, and I'll actually zoom in on him. You can see he is actually in the process of moving down the rack to the floor. And so luckily I saw this guy, because sometimes they can get up underneath the rack and then we don't see him, but he's getting ready to zoom away. So I'm gonna catch him, put him back in his aquarium. But that is one thing to look out for when messing with nearites. And as I was putting that guy away, I realized there's another one. So we usually keep these aquariums pretty lock sealed. And this guy just happened to get out of our one area that we leave open, which is the water change. And he is currently crawling back down the water change hose. So I'm gonna knock him back in, but nearite snails, better watch out because they are little Houdinis. So another thing that I wanted to touch on is colors and patterns. So mystery snails have amazing colors as far as shell and body color, and so you can really get some cool variations that can really pop in your aquarium. Now nearite snails, they don't have as much body color, but they have tons of really cool patterns with their shell. So if you're looking for color, you're looking for patterns, both options are pretty good, but if you want a solid color that pops, like I wanna say we sell jade, we sell purple, gold, ivory, black, blue, all different types of mystery snails, whereas nearite snails, we sell an assortment, so you'll get just a mix of different patterns. You can always request certain patterns, but we can't guarantee it. But we do have a ton of different patterns that I'll show you just overlaying throughout this video. And so those are the two things to really point out is these snails are beautiful. They're not just your standard, brown pond snails, brown ram's horn snails. They actually have a lot of color and they can really pop in your aquarium. Now these snails are by far our most popular mystery snail. These are the jade mystery snails. They just have a really, really pretty green color to their shell, a black body, and they just really pop in the aquarium. And you just saw a scud zoom by the tank. So what we actually do is we will put some just random fish, some adoption fish that we couldn't sell into these tanks, and they will actually rid these tanks of scuds, of other pests that may be attached to the snail when we get them in. And that's one process that we use to quarantine. So in closing, I want to say that mystery snails would be my preferred choice for an aquarium over 5 gallons because you don't run the risk of eggs, they're hardier, they produce a lot of waste, which is good if you're keeping shrimp or very minimal fish load because it will keep your tank cycled. They are Hoover vacuums, they eat everything, which can be really good if you overfeed, and they are just overall a beautiful, beautiful snail. Now, nearite snails, if you're looking for something to really take off that hard algae that gets stuck to the glass, nearite snails are a really good option. And if you're struggling big time with algae, they're a great option too because that is their main source of food. Now, another thing that I just wanted to point out is the main thing that we feed our snails here at H2O is we feed them green beans, we feed them some potatoes, we take the shell off of it or the skin, and then we feed them a mix of cat's food, kelp wafers from Northfin, a lot of good stuff. Veggie formula from Northfin is also good, but green beans, unsalted, and potatoes are two great foods that you can go to your grocery store, get today, and they're really gonna benefit yourself. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions at all, any comments, any concerns, anything, drop a comment down below. I'd love to answer it. You guys make it a great day, and as always, God bless, and we will see you on the next video.